Founded in 1961 and now a fully accredited partner of the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and the American Alliance of Museums, Piedmont Arts in Martinsville, Virginia, important designation, stands as one of the few cultural nonprofits serving Virginia's Southwest region, acting as a vital nexus for visual arts, performing arts, and education in a community with limited comparable resources. At the helm of this mission is Heidi Pinkston, the organization's executive director, whose leadership has been instrumental in guiding Piedmont Arts through ambitious initiatives such as the $1 million growth and restoration campaign to fortify infrastructure, expand programming, and enhance sustainability at Piedmont Arts. Today's conversation explores how Piedmont Arts, under Pinkston's stewardship, is not only preserving regional cultural heritage, but also envisioning a dynamic, inclusive future for arts in Southwest Virginia. Piedmont Arts, as a vital cultural anchor in Southwest Virginia, and its strength and longevity is critical to the region. So, Heidi, thank you so much for joining me here today on Small Town Big Arts.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, I think to get started, I want to talk a little bit about Piedmont Arts' mission. I've had an opportunity personally to visit Piedmont Arts. I have gotten a chance to get to know the organization pretty well through serving on Virginia Commission for the Arts grant review panels, and had a couple of times that Piedmont Arts has crossed my desk in that process. And one of the things that is really clear is how important the organization is to the Martinsville, Henry County community. And the mission is to inspire and engage the diverse Martinsville, Henry County community through visual arts, performing arts, and arts education. Tell me a little bit about the Martinsville community and the makeup of that community.
hmm Well, Martinsville and Henry County are two separate governments. And so we have two separate entities, and Piedmont Arts is in Martinsville City, but yeah, we try to break down all barriers. Being part of Martinsville and Henry County, we try to break down the barriers for everybody to come and be a part of Piedmont Arts and just be a part of the arts in our community. We are free and open to the public.
Incredible.
Many of our programs are free, and the very few programs that we do have an admission fee. For example, the Roanoke Symphony, we keep the cost very low, and even programs that allows people to come if they don't have the means. For example, with the passport program through the VCA.
Excellent. Yeah. So along those lines, Heidi, tell me why this free programming is so important to Martinsville.
hmm Martinsville is, I like to call it the biggest small town in the world.
I love that.
And it has a diverse range of people, people that can afford and the arts and people that cannot
Mhm.
afford. Um, we believe the arts are for everybody. And it has an NAFTA hurt Martinsville's economy, and we've struggled since then to try to reinvent ourselves, if you will. And we're doing a great job doing that. And Piedmont Arts has helped
Heidi,
with
what was the economy driven by prior to NAFTA? What was
it was furniture
furniture?
and textiles. It is Martinsville is the home of the sweatshirt. We invented the
Okay,
sweatshirt.
okay, okay. I
Um,
appreciate that contribution. I love a good sweatshirt.
mm,
I sweatshirt
Absolutely.
too.
So, so we have continued to be a beacon in our community and provided a quality of life while people are trying to rebuild and pivot on businesses and bring people in. We have been a constant pillar in the community for the arts and just for the quality of life. Um, you know, Being free and open to the public is very important. Um, just, a lot of people still don't realize that after being here since 1961, we've always been
Yeah.
free. And they come in to the museum, whether it's for to see an exhibit or to see their children's exhibit artwork in our galleries. They always are asking, where do they pay? And these sometimes are lifelong residents
Mm,
that in the community that have never been here. So I'm feeling really great that we are getting more people in and winning their trust. And
yeah.
everybody's time is a limited resource. So, this community has always valued Piedmont arts, obviously, being here since 1961. So we're very grateful that
Yeah.
people value and see the importance of what we do.
You tell the story of people coming in and not knowing it's free and lifelong residence. And in my time running organizations, sometimes with staff or board, or there'll be a little bit of sadness or frustration in something like that. But I love the way you frame it, because it's something that I share too in my thoughts. It's like, hey, this is an opportunity, right? If these are new folks walking in the door, then we've just accomplished something. So let's be happy about that, not frustrated by the lack of knowledge. And it means that you're reaching new people too, and that
Mhm.
lowering the barriers, I'm sure, critical. This is, this podcast, Small Town Big Arts, is really geared towards, individuals, facilitators of the arts, artists and communities, small communities trying to make it work. Um, you know, I love this. I love that it is that accessible and that so much is free. Tell me a little bit. And I know, many of us in the nonprofit sector, we have a little bit of an idea how this works, but not everybody does. How do you all make that possible? How is that something that is feasible to do?
Just funding, and we are very good stewards of every nickel and dime that comes through this door. We get funding. The majority of our funding is local, and we get very little. We very grateful for every bit, but we get very little from from the government, and whether it's the VCA or local government. But so our membership and our corporate partnership and grant writing is really what sustains Piedmont Arts. And that's
What
it's
what would more funding from the VCA do for you all?
more funding would be able to bring in more programming,
Hmm.
more staffing to be able to provide funding.
So, for those listening, Heidi and I both serve on the board for the Virginians for the Arts, and our aim and our goal, is to try to get a $1 per capita spend from the government on the arts. I think we're like halfway there or something right now. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we're not there right now. And I think for an organization, and many of us who are in smaller communities know, particularly if the community itself uh, is somewhat over leveraged, it can be really difficult to get you can kind of max out what the local economy can provide you, and funding coming from the state level can mean a tremendous amount. So I know all of you all out there know how that can feel, but really important to to support efforts to push your local legislators to get that funding up, because it can make a big difference in regards to what's offered within a community, particularly a community like Martinsville. Really important. Heidi, I've noticed that you're in the middle of holding a strategic planning session. Or you're
Mhm.
about to have one coming
Yep.
up on September 10th.
hmm
What are the biggest challenges and opportunities you're hoping to address through this planning process?
Um, you know, we just finished, we are, excuse me, about to complete our current strategic plan, and we have reached, if not exceeded, 98% of the goals on that strategic
That's
plan.
awesome. That's awesome.
But by revisiting it twice a year. We did not create the strategic plan and put it on a shelf. The staff and the board were committed to making it a guideline, a roadmap of what we needed to do. Right now, we started this process about a year ago, the new strategic plan process, and we have, gotten the board ready, and we are now in the listening stage of the process, and we have a survey that is out in the community. It's digital and it's on paper for those that are not as comfortable doing it digitally. And and then our public membership listening session next week, I believe it is. We want to hear from the community,
Mhm.
from everybody, youth, all ages, older adults down to students. What do they need from Piedmont Arts? What do they want from Piedmont Arts? So, before I say what our goals are, I really want to be able to hear
Yeah.
the voices of the community and the board. The staff has had their listening session, which was really great and very positive. But I can tell you that we want to be sure to secure the future of Piedmont Arts for not just the next 5 years, but the next 50 years. And right now, knock on wood, we are on good on that
Good.
track. So
That's great. That's great.
it's a good day, and we're just continue to get a new roadmap, if you will.
Yeah. One of the things can often happen in, I mean, this honestly can happen in any size community that you find yourself in, but I certainly see in smaller communities very often, again, time, energy, money, it can sometimes be difficult to set aside the time for strategic planning. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, right, it's essential if you're going to be able to find your way to sustainable practices,
Yeah.
and the importance of listening to the community, hearing back from the community, providing high value to the community is a key component of that. So bravo on taking the time to do that. And we were just talking about the BCA, right? I mean, even this becomes really critical to speaking to outside constituents all the time. And you talk about the funding that comes to you on the local level. The BCA will often require or want to see, right, these strategic plans from an organization to kind of understand the
Right.
organization's what it's thinking tactically, it's making efforts, right, to move forward. Has that strategic plan been useful for you, or do you use that internally within the Martinsville community in some of your fundraising efforts? Is that also a useful tool for it?
Oh, absolutely. It's, as far as reaching new members, we want to be as transparent as possible. Um, Not just grant writing that requests, some grants that request a strategic plan, but we definitely, like I said, twice a year visit it and mark our goals and just our key indicators, how well we're doing and what
Yeah.
we need to work on.
Well, and I want to get a little bit to the programs themselves, because that
Mm,
is extraordinarily valuable to that community. You're supplying the community some things that are not being supplied by any other organization. One thing that stood out to me was your teen council, which offers teen leadership development, behind the scenes museum experience. Share a little bit more with me. What would not be happening in Martinsville? What would not be supplied to Martinsville if you all were not there?
Um, we look at it, we have three pillars, if you will: educational, outreach, visual arts, and performing arts. The visual arts are, we have, accredited American Museum, excuse me, American Alliance Museum accredited galleries, where we have 5 different exhibit periods a year that are different every year. Um, so we bring in local, we have a local gallery, we bring in regional art, we have national art and international art.
Fantastic.
Um, this year we are bringing in again the American Watercolor Society, which it's huge. We are also
You see travel,
again,
do you see travel and tourism impact from that?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, and we see people coming, Martinsville is close to the North Carolina border, so we are getting people from North Carolina, Winston-Salem, Greensboro
Mhm.
area to come to Piedmont Arts to see
Yeah.
these world-class exhibits. And then once they come, they we're on their radar and they come back.
I love that.
Um,
And those North Carolina dollars into the
That's
Virginia
right.
ecosystems. Yeah.
Like I said, Martinsville is the biggest small town in the world. Our next exhibit opening in late October is a designer, Johnny Selman. He grew up in Martinsville, and he is now a world internationally award-winning design in New York City, and he has a project called the Peace Post, and we will be exhibiting that. So it's always fun to bring people back to Martinsville that are in the arts, and that is just one example. We've done it several times, but these exhibits are huge for our community and our region, and along with our visual arts, we like to build programming on to whatever we have. For example, our
Yeah.
American Watercolor Society exhibit, we will be hosting a VMFA artist and taking them into the schools for portrait workshops.
Excellent.
And and then we will be hosting classes in our classroom downstairs, just building on watercolor in our programming.
Heidi, out of curiosity, is that VMFA artists coming through on the teaching artists program through the
Yes.
VCA? It is.
Hmm.
That's excellent.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
So for those who don't know, and if anybody in Virginia, Virginia Commission for the Arts has a teaching artist grant program, and you can bring, highly qualified teaching artists into your community through that program.
mhm. Our educational outreach program is very important. We take the arts into the schools. As we all know, the educational landscape has changed drastically, especially with arts.
Yeah.
So we take anywhere from a full student body elementary school programming with the Richmond Ballet doing a lecture demo to small advanced high school art student workshops
Hmm.
from the VCA and the VMFA. So we also have a program, a preschool program. Several times a year, we invite preschoolers into the galleries, and it's Martinsville High School Jazz Band will perform
Oh, I
for
love that.
them.
Love it,
And
cross-generational. That's awesome.
mhm.
That's fantastic.
And so we feel like we are creating new art appreciators. This is probably the first time they've ever been in an art museum, probably the first time they've ever seen a live performance, and they are learning to be comfortable and know how to behave when seeing a live performance and in an art gallery.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed that you all provide Martinsville that, is often a space that arts organizations can fill, but I think it's again a big part of your value proposition is your public art initiatives, murals, sculptures. And it's the Gravely Lester Art Garden and the Little Post Office,
Mhm.
are visible cultural markers that exist around Martinsville. And continuing kind of talking about like if you all weren't there, what wouldn't be there? How
Mm.
did these outdoor artworks help shape the community identity? How do they spark dialogue among citizens? Tell me a little bit about that too.
We feel that public art or community art is important, just to not to beautify the community, but to also have our citizens be proud of where they live.
Yeah.
The art garden on the corner of Starling and Mulberry is fairly new. It was created in 2017, and Piedmont Arts purchased some property that was for sale when a family was selling it, and we felt like we were saving that property from becoming another doctor's office or a Dollar General, and keeping it green and really preserving the historic little post office and that space. We now have 7 permanent sculptures
I love it.
and working on another one. And we have a pollinator path that links the Gravely Lester Art Garden to Piedmont Arts. And we are working on the pollinator path with, sculptures and signage, and it's visible from the street. So it builds a lot of excitement. It teaches youth to be aware and of our pollinators and how important they are. Um, but if Piedmont Arts weren't part of Martinsville and Henry County, I'm not sure that the residents would have the quality of art that they have.
Yeah.
We have been facilitators of many of the organizations that are new. We have the Studio 107. It's a working artist studio. We initiated that studio and manned it for almost a decade, and they now have taken it over and man it themselves. The community theater, we helped facilitate that, and it is now on its own, and it's a successful
Yeah.
community theater.
I
So
love that. Yeah.
we are really proud to be able to help support other art organizations and help create these other little parts of art in the community.
Yeah, so I've referenced before, you can see these different types of organizational models in smaller the communities that work, and you all kind of fall into this category I call the center. And a center very often is providing this cultural infrastructure for a community that others can plug into and utilize. And you all are, it's very clear you all are doing that. There's obviously things you're producing and creating, but then you become a hub, and you're shouldering what comes with infrastructure, right? Which is, keeping up with the building,
Mhm.
repairs, maintenance, depreciation, all of that. And it is, I think, really often undervalued how important that is. And you have this vast network of community partners. Martinsville actors now have a place where they can do theater. Is that theater its own 501(c)(3)? That community theater, it has its own.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
they don't need to be dealing with that infrastructure.
Mhm. Right.
It's hard enough, right? It's hard enough. And so I think what you all supply there is great. And I know there's like quilting, right? And writing guilds,
Mhm.
correct? And historical
Right.
groups that
Mhm.
meet and
Yep.
utilize that infrastructure. And that should not be underestimated. I mean, you all are real heroes there in Martinsville in regards to quality of life and what's going on.
Thank
Um,
you. We like to support all the arts and humanities in the community.
yeah. What are your biggest challenges right now? I think I kind of know it's a lot of standard answers for that for people in this field, but I'll ask it anyway. What are some of your challenges right now?
Some of our challenges is continuing to be financially stable.
Yeah.
Um, we have a beautiful building and a facility that we that's in good shape, but we want to continue to meet best practices. I just, funding and
Mhm.
just being able to find the funds to continue to bring the programming and build on the programming. We have a great staff, an incredibly dedicated staff, that again really understand the importance of what they're doing. And final, it's very satisfying, what they do. Um, it's always a challenge to get the word out of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
we're in these communication bubbles, and breaking through those bubbles is really hard, you know.
it is, and it's changing
Yeah.
so much, so fast. So, just really keeping up with um, how to communicate with people, how the best way to get the word out so people will come to Piedmont Arts.
Does Martinsville still support a local newspaper? Is that still,
Yes,
you still do have
yes.
one?
It's scaled back quite a bit, but they
Yeah.
have an online presence and a paper version every few days, a couple
Yeah.
times a week.
Well, I found, this is something that hasn't been as discussed as much in conversations I've had. Very often, the communication problem will come up, but I'm often struck by how hard it is to get media coverage these days on a local level on cultural activities.
Hmm.
These local papers are staffs are significantly reduced, and what they're choosing to cover very often, the deciding factors on that are wide ranging, but it can be very hard. It used to be back in the day, you'd get regular, be an arts and culture section of the paper, and there usually be a
Yep.
reporter dedicated to that beat who would cover events and activities that are happening. And I I don't know if this is the case for you in Martinsville, but it certainly feels that way here in Lynchburg, that you're just kind of on your own now.
Hmm.
Figure out how you're gonna get the story out there. Are you finding that too with your local news coverage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have a handful of local reporters still in the community.
Hmm.
And our marketing team is fabulous. Getting so hopefully one of the reporters will, when we send them stuff constantly, they will pick up on something.
Dude, I don't know if you found this, but it kind of cracks me up, is that I find that very often the coverage here at the Academy Center of the Arts that we get is very often after the fact, and it's because they want to put something that is like positive on the cover of the
Right.
paper.
That's
And so
right.
it'll be like after the fact. So it'll be like a bunch of people gathered, and it is useful, right, for people to kind of generate
Hmm.
awareness that like a thing happened and that you're there. But the actual promotion of the event itself, right, they can come out of a news story before
Right.
it happens is very hard these days.
Hmm.
And
We
so,
do have a nice community calendar
oh, good.
in the paper, and also Visit Martinsville. Our tourism department has a calendar, and we preach it. We
Yeah.
always, if we're when we're planning our calendar, we go to Visit Martinsville and make sure that we are not
Smart.
planning something big on top of somebody else's something big. And we really encourage all organizations um, to
Yeah, that's
check
smart
that
in a
out.
small community, right? And
Yeah.
it is that there can be these collisions where you end up both hurting each other if there's two sort of competing sets of events, and coordinating community calendars are a uh, real need.
Hmm.
And I'm glad to hear actually that is working for you all.
Hmm.
Because that's I think really important. You know, I think I just want to say, thank you. I think the pressures that you're feeling on a funding level are widespread and felt everywhere. And you know, every state has varying degrees of funding that exists within the state. Some states allocate a greater amount to the state budget, to the arts than others. Virginia could do better. Virginia could do better. And this is decided through, our state Senate and House. And I mean, as Heidi has said, funding could mean more programs for Martinsville. If you live in Martinsville, and it's important to find out who your local legislators are and contact them and tell them how important that VCA funding is, because it's, again, just trying to get $1 per person, right? That's all we're talking
Right.
about here, $1 per person.
It sounds easy.
Yep. And I think, not an unreasonable ask, and it can make a huge difference for Piedmont Arts and the stability and what they bring, which is really clearly critical to the Martinsville area.
Thank you.
Yeah. Heidi, would you mind, before we finish up, just maybe sharing a little bit of information where people can find you online, and
Mhm.
any social media handles, things like that, that would be helpful for people to see the great things you guys are doing?
Sure thing. PiedmontArts.org is our website, and it is, I would say, 99.5% updated all the time.
Nice.
Um, Very proud. We have a great website. We have a fabulous social media. Please follow us on Facebook. It's Piedmont Arts, and Instagram. It's Piedmont Arts, and like us, and you will be seeing all the fun things that we do, the important things, and also our community partners. We like to support and encourage them to what they're doing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Heidi, thank you so much.
oh gosh, thank
Piedmont
you.
Arts is such a gem. And, if you're traveling through Southwest Virginia, definitely stop off. How often, Heidi, are you changing over shows in the gallery space?
Every 6 to 8 weeks.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So if you're coming through, you're going to see something different and something new, and see what Martinsville has to offer, which is a lot, thanks to Piedmont Arts.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you, Heidi. I really appreciate it.
It can be difficult to find resources for arts organizations, artists, and civic leaders looking to promote the arts in smaller communities. Small Town Big Arts is a podcast for those looking to boost the arts in rural and small town America. From the mountains of Kentucky to the Alaskan coast, each episode speaks with leaders in the field successfully navigating issues of fundraising, waning board engagement, local politics, and employee and volunteer retention. If you are in a community with less than 100,000 residents and the arts are important to you, find our monthly episodes by searching Small Town Big Arts.